Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lunch Tech and Chat. And I've got my friend Will here. Hello, Will. How are you today?
Hello, beautiful morning here today. So yeah, it's a great start for the day. How
Yeah,
how about you? How are things on your end?
yeah, good day. Cold but sunny. Nice day. Not raining. Yeah, nice day. Can't complain about it. And today we're going to talk a little bit about AI, which is a subject that we love in this channel, in this podcast. And there's lots of stuff coming out from Microsoft and Google. So let's dig in.
Let's not forget that Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. Let's go.
Let me do my transition here. Transition. There you go.
There we go. Okay,
Bitcoin, another time high.
another all-time high. So this is pumping. It's good. Good beginning for the end of the week. So things going things going well, people leveraging, market going crazy, and just the news feed doesn't stop. I think it's just from my point of view, just like a bit of symptomatic of everything else that is actually happening. It's not only Bitcoin; there is all sorts of crazy activity brought up by all providers. But anyways, we don't have to talk about it. Let's go back to AI. Because the robots are gonna take the world anyways.
The
So
robots are gonna
what?
take the word and all the Bitcoin.
Some of the Bitcoin from some of the people, I'm sure they will. So
I'm sure they're gonna.
especially if they turn on into you know babies that are super funny and super cute, and then they manipulate the humans, and the humans will just hand over actually all of their wallets and everything.
They're gonna find a way of breaking the cryptography and stealing everyone's Bitcoins.
That's the other possibility as well. Yeah.
Right. So there was this week we had the Google I/O. So lots of interesting things started coming up from Google in the AI world. So maybe I'll touch in some of them and then we can go back and maybe deep dive and go into more details.
Yeah.
So the first one is Gemini Live. Now it's free on Android and iOS. So if you have the Gemini app on your phone, just like ChatGPT had before, you can open the camera and then Gemini will see what you actually see, and then you can interact with it in real time. It also integrates with maps, calendars, tasks, Google Keep, so you can do planning, shopping, things, fixing things like, let's say, you're in a car, there's a red light, you don't know what it is, you can open Gemini, just point the camera and ask questions. You could do that with GPT before. I think the only difference here is that Google does integrate with the other Google tools, which is the additional benefit, let's say.
I mean, it's a huge benefit, right? I mean, they have a huge part of that market, both for, individuals, and I suppose a lot of like the small business actually have full Google accounts. I personally have for my business. Actually, I use the Google Suite. So the fact that now you can actually integrate all of the different all of the different apps that they have already on the on workspace. It's of a huge benefit if you have across all of it actually AI. Like, I mean, they had already in the Drive and all of the different kind of like Google Docs apps, but if you have on top of it, you can say plan your week using the calendar and kind of like read through all of my conversations and everything that I'm having, and then being able to say kind of like, please organize my week. And then Monday mornings become much less of a struggle than they usually are, which is kind of like when you're planning, at least myself, plan my week. If I can just say like, please take take into account everything that I've been working for the last week and all the follow-ups and everything that I have to do, and actually just build kind of like a whole bunch of blockers in my calendar for all that kind of stuff, plus organizing all of the meetings for me. Hey, Monday morning is the coffee is much better. And
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
if you do that like that, I guess, you know.
Yeah, so I think that's interesting. The way that I'm seeing Google is, Microsoft was sort of the Uber of AI, like taking all the models, doing agreements with OpenAI and Meta and other big companies, Anthropic and etc., and just having all the models in the Microsoft platform and building tools and integrations around. So it was like, let's say, like the Uber of AI. But Google, they've got everything. They've got from the model to the tools to the integration. So they're not just a competitor to Microsoft, but they're a competitor to OpenAI and Microsoft because Google plays on both spaces, right? So it's really interesting. It's interesting
Yeah.
to see that Google has been sort of behind this whole thing for a long time, but it feels like they starting to pick up and keeping up as very quickly as well. Like in the last few weeks and months, they just started releasing a bunch of stuff. So yeah, they trying to go not miss the wave that they've been missing, I guess. Like they were the number one. There was no competitor even close to Google. And from one day to the other, they
A couple
just
of years
yeah
ago.
lost the
Yeah.
throne.
Yeah. So I think, to be honest, like I think that's an interesting point, because you mentioned quite a few times in conversations that we had that Google used to dominate the AI market because of all of anyway, the page rank indexing and everything that they have over the whole web, and that was kind of like a huge advantage to them relative to anyone else.
And they had a whole AI company inside them as well, right?
They had a whole AI company inside of them with like DeepMind and so on, with some of the smartest AI researchers and developers in there. But but also interesting fact is, like, I kind of think that that might have to do with the way that the company is built itself, because studied a little bit like the Alphabet model in the past, and they almost operate like an incubator inside as a company, right? So you have like Alphabet is like the group, but then inside of it, there's probably kind of like there's a website where you see all of the Google's kind of like different experiments and products that they try to put in the market and so on. There are thousands and thousands of products that they try to put in that actually we as users, we never see the light of day, but actually they do a whole lot of experimentation. I've seen a website, I think it's some crazy number. It's something like, I think I saw like there was a list of the product experimentations that they have done over the last, I think, 5 or 10 years. And I don't think I'm exaggerating if I'm talking about like 10,000 or 100,000 products. It's huge, but a lot of them actually don't see the light of day. And so those that actually succeed, they see the light of day, and then actually they become pretty much kind of like little companies on their own once they come out of that kind of incubation stage. So for example, like Gmail is a little bit like a company on its own, and Tasks is a little bit of a company on its own. It's all inside Google. We all see as a Google Apps type of thing, but actually within them, they are kind of like almost like mini companies with their own kind of like teams that actually manage each of those products. It kind of tells me the reason why they have been maybe so slow to integrate AI into all of those is because, to start with, from inside, they were not that centralized comparing to some of the other players, like, OpenAI was essentially kind of like it's a model development company. Then how now is, has been branching out into different products from a core, whereas actually Google is more like Alphabet, experiment. Products become their own companies, and eventually, kind of like you have to go back to them, to some sort of like base layer of the models to go and to continue your road. So it's kind of like they're fairly decentralized in terms of like the organizational model inside, and that might be the reason why it's been taking quite a bit longer to integrate a lot of these latest advancements.
Yeah, could be. It's interesting just looking at you being the number one in your game and then losing for someone else that just came along. Yeah, and I think it took too long for them to react, but it feels like they're starting to pick up the game again. So let's see how Google is going to be. I think they are sort of. I think on usage, most people are going to OpenAI first, mainly startups and people in some companies.
Yeah.
Most companies are going Microsoft, so I would say OpenAI, Microsoft are probably very close to each other on the number one, and then Google is straight after. So let's see if Google will be able to take a bit more of the market now that they woke up to see that they've been losing the market to other people. So let's see.
Yeah, I would say, like, to be honest, I mean, we work in different environments, right? So, like, I have a little bit like a different perspective on that. Like, let's not forget that the vast majority of, I think, SMEs and startups, they still use, Amazon as their core infra. So I would say, I mean, Amazon has a few AI products of their own, of course, but they don't appear as vocal. So I would say like the people that actually kind of use from the startup space and from SMEs more like they will probably pivot more towards like a usage of uh, GPT, like OpenAI products, or a mix of that and then the Google Suite now. So I think that's the thing that maybe Google didn't kind of like read so much, is like that they had such a big group of users that were just like, for the lack of access to the
Innovation.
AI tools, they were just going actually to OpenAI. Amazon has got like some interesting developments that they always kind of like trying
Yeah.
out.
I
I've
don't think Amazon is on the top two, but I see Amazon
Yeah,
as a very big competition as well. Like they're investing a lot of on AI and frameworks, and they've got tools for development. So yeah, they are in a good stand as well. But let me cover Google AI, or else we're gonna be stuck on the first
yeah,
announcement.
yep.
So
Go
the
ahead.
second one is image 4. So that's a new image model to generate image that can generate image with text, sort of like what OpenAI 4.0 image can do, or image 4.0. Um, but the quality is just superior. It's a new model, so it's probably going to be the top model for a little bit until someone comes with something better. But yeah, image 4, the new high resolution and accurate text, and is really fast output generation model.
Image 4. So is that like is that like focused on? I haven't actually tested that one. Is it focused, or is it the ones that actually are being used for the generation of the babies images and the cuties and all that kind of stuff?
No, no. So that big hype that we had in the past, that was with the Google Image 4.0, but Image 4 just got released this week and is the top model in image generation right now.
Yeah. Okay.
The next one, which is the most impressive, is V0-3. So V0-3 is the first video model that is native with sound. So if you create a clip using AI, so you say, for example, I don't know, generate an image of a sailor on a boat talking to his mate, it's going to generate the actual video, and the quality is amazing. but it will add all the sounds plus the talking of the person. So you have the speech, you have the ambient sound,
Yeah.
and the video being generated all as part of one output in a hybrid model. So that's
Okay.
pretty awesome.
And does that actually also include any sort of like sound? So you could essentially kind of like create a little like film of
Yeah, it's the
interaction
whole clip.
between.
It's a
Yeah.
clip with image, so video, background sound or ambient sound, and the audio of the person speaking, or multiple people speaking like a dialogue or whatever. So it's amazing. Like I've seen some of the stuff that people have generated, and it's just incredible. It's still um region blocked to US only, so I can't test it myself. But I've been seeing videos that people have been creating, and it's just like it looks like a real movie. Like you can't even differentiate that that's not real people anymore.
Really? Okay. Is
Yeah.
that so? That's the one from OpenAI as well.
No, that's
That's
Google. We're
Google.
talking about
That's
Google
Google.
AI. Will
That
Google
that's
AI?
Google. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, Google AI V0-3. The next one is deep research. Now with custom uploads, so you can put PDFs, screenshots, notes, and Gemini will combine them with public data and provide like the report. So you know the deep research that we know from OpenAI,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
similar, but the Google one you can add a bunch of stuff that you want the deep research to use on the research.
Right. So
Um,
you can index to your specific data. So you can like, I suppose it's just an integration thing that you could just integrate with like all the different like MCP servers with the data that you specifically wanted to read from.
Because it's via Gemini front end, you can't do that because it's you're just using the Gemini app, but you're just putting all your data or your Google Drives and stuff like that, and then in the prompt you give the additional data, and it will use that to do the deep research.
But you can't integrate like from the back end with like an MCP server.
No, I don't know if there is API access. I would think not because I know OpenAI doesn't have API access as well, but yeah, for now it's just via the front end, is my understanding.
Okay. Well, that's a limitation, I guess. I mean, from programmatic kind of like generation of some of those deep search reports, I mean, if you don't wanna be just like a human, kind of like fat fingering kind of like stuff and kind of like adding connections to different files, and you want to do things a little bit
But
more pro.
what else would you need to do? Like if it's searching the web or maybe API access, but if it's searching the web, it's looking at your documents, that's huge. And then maybe the next step to that is adding custom APIs for additional data. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's
But if you
not too
do
far.
that for additional data, you can definitely scale what you can
Yeah,
obtain in
yeah,
terms
yeah.
of like in terms of reports and many information, right? Imagine yourself kind of, I don't know, like from my world, it's really data heavy. Imagine turning up to, I don't know, to the morning and then just having had any, I don't know, 5 different reports on like with deep research on 5 different, say, asset classes, with all of the detail that actually has happened in the market, forecasts, um, backward-looking view explanations on all of those different ones. If you have an API instead of me kind of going and connect this to X, Y, and Z, it's just a time waste kind of thing that is
Yeah, but it's
at
not
very
because
different level.
deep research is gonna search the web. So if the data is in the web, it will find it.
Yeah, it's the thing is kind of it's me connecting it to the data that I trust. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
So if you have like those MCP servers to the data that I say, like for example, like if you're in a company and index that to a particular set of data that you think like this is all trusted data to some sort of like database, then it's a completely different level of scale of what you can achieve. I mean, hopefully it goes down that path. I'm hoping, because everything that I'm building with that type of mentality into it.
I
You
think
know,
anything that is deep research at the moment, you can't connect to databases only if you're using open source. I don't think Microsoft you can connect to SharePoint. Um, I know Google and OpenAI is just your documents and web. So yeah, it's a bit of a limitation. There is no sort of deep research service via API connecting to MCP servers or other APIs. So yeah,
yeah,
it might be coming. Yeah, because
yeah.
I know
Hopefully,
it spin ups a bunch of agents, so it's quite costly to run. So that might be the reason behind it. But let's see.
I mean, for companies, they might be worth, like, for companies that have a little bit
Yeah,
more
but
like
then
that.
you just run it locally. You can just have your deep research internally.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Next one is Project Astra. So Project Astra is like a J.A.R.V.I.S on a mobile. So it's it gives so imagine J.A.R.V.I.S from Iron Man, like that you can ask and J.A.R.V.I.S just does everything for Iron Man. So it's like that on your Google phone or on your Android. And the capabilities is as like a universal AI assistant. So it controls your phone, acts acts like doing stuff for you as a proactive helper. So let's say, for example, I'm fixing a bike and I want to know something about it. It will open YouTube for me. It will research a video and I want to say, well, what's the best video on this? So you see like the thing scrolling down. So it's taking control over your phone and doing the things on your phone on your behalf via voice command with the AI interpreting your voice. Does that make sense?
Is it like the operator from OpenAI?
But it's not just browsers controlling your whole phone.
Right.
Because operator, what it does is an instance that has a browser and just controls the browser. It's on their own environment. So imagine like it spins up a little box that has a browser inside, and then operator controls that browser. What Project Astra is doing is controlling your phone as is with the stuff that you've got on your phone.
It's not spinning up any sort of like container or, you know, or anything like that within your computer. I mean, that can be great and pretty fucking dangerous, to be honest with you.
Exactly. But
So
imagine how cool, like you're doing something and you've got your phone sort of open, like unlocked, and you just say, "Oh, I'm trying to do this. Can you find a video on YouTube that shows how to do XYZ?" And then it goes there and you say, "Oh, there's this spreadsheet that I put all the prices of the components of this vehicle or whatever. Can you check how much it costs XYZ?" And it will open the document, look at that, and you say, "Search on the web, see if there's any places close to where I am that sells the spot." And as you're talking to it, the assistant is just doing stuff with the capabilities your phone gives to them. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, but as you
it is
say,
cool. Yeah, yeah.
dangerous. Yeah,
I
it's
can
giving
I
AI access to the wider world and interacting with our own tools, right?
Yeah, this is amazing. I guess I like in terms of, like, I guess on the positive side of things, it's an amazing tool to have, just that assistant at the back of your pocket, right? Liberating it from what currently most of the, I think at least my AI interactions is with like a desktop. Having that on a phone, it's definitely great. But I can see a whole bunch of bad uses of that as well. Um, you know, I don't know, people getting assaulted and then someone forcing or cloning your voice, let's say, like this, and then saying, "Hey,
Transfer all the money from
get
account X
access
to
to
X.
all my payments,
Yes.
my payment channels, and send the money to all of this," and the AI doesn't, not having that kind of, you know, uh, maybe it's not the person, maybe it's fake, maybe the person is being forced.
Hopefully they thought about that and there's some security around that.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see.
Right? Yeah.
I suppose, I mean, you have, two-factor authentications, which can like maybe, stop some of that kind of stuff, like in the traditional payment space and like approvals and all that. If you start, yeah, anyways, yeah, I won't go too deep into it, but I can see a whole bunch of dodgy stuff, shit that can happen from the AI taking over a computer. There's a guy that I follow, and he writes about a lot about it. Like he comes from the payment space actually, and David Birch, and he's like he writes some blogs, and sometimes it's like the blogs is especially about this sort of situation where people have nowadays a lot of their money and payment flow and all that kind of stuff kind of like integrated to Google, Apple Pay, etc. And how people just freak out once they get those falling those the stone get like their phone stolen, and all of the different things that people have to take care of, like disabling notifications on the phone and things like that, which most people like don't do it. So for example, if someone actually tries to hack, should they can see the authentication on scrolling kind of like on the phone, on straight up in the actually in the notification, you can see actually the code. So people kind of like, all of a sudden being super vulnerable because they didn't think about any of that kind of stuff when they were actually setting up those servers, because, they're distracted. They didn't think of worst case situations. And actually, I would say it's probably the majority of people don't even think about disabling those sort of things. And yeah, I read this guy's blog kind of like often. And it's really good because it's just like, he tells about war stories, his and from people that he knows on that. And therefore you can kind of like start imagining on top of it, having a little AI robot, having access to it, and then weird stuff happening.
Yeah, future is coming, Will.
The future
Um,
is coming.
I'll try to cover the rest. I know we have around 10 minutes, so I'll try to cover everything from Google I/O. So the next one is Google Flow. Google Flow is really freaking amazing, not to use another word. It's a filmmaking tool. So essentially what you can do is you can put your own clips of stuff that you filmed, use AI to create more or close gaps or whatever, or you can create videos using AI like V0-3. And with those videos, the tool allow you to extend and create. So you can create a whole movie from beginning to end using Google Flow. So you start with one image and then you can extend that image. So the images and the video will come with sound, and then you can create another sort of part of the movie and you connect them up and it creates the transitions. So it's a tool now for creators to create end-to-end movies or videos. So it's a pretty cool tool, and I do want to get access to that so I can start playing with that.
So it's not live yet?
It is, I think, live for some users in the US, but not widely.
Right, okay. So it's still in beta phase.
Yep. The next one is agent mode in the Gemini app. So it's an app that you can put your goal and Gemini will handle the steps to achieve it. So
Okay.
it can browse the web, gather information, interact with Google Apps, anything that it needs to complete your task.
So it's part of that agent toolkit, right?
It's not, it's inside Gemini. So you
It's
go in
inside Gemini.
Gemini, yeah,
Okay.
you go in Gemini, you ask for something, and then the agent will do something.
But
So that's quick.
is that one live yet?
It is live. I don't
That
know
one.
if all countries, and I don't know which subscription you need to have, but it is live. The
Yeah,
next
because
one is, yeah,
I've
go for it.
built I've built with a developer in the company. We built um a little agent, kind of like using the Google Agent Development Kit
Hmm.
recently, which is cool. Just like essentially that goes around and screens like yield opportunities across the whole market, the whole marketplace, and then kind of like selects, and then you can kind of just work, like works and reads all of the different AMM pools on all of the different exchanges, like decentralized exchanges, et cetera, and then kind of like selects the most optimized and yield optimized kind of like strategies for you, and actually points you out like, yeah, cool. You kind of like you put your money into this and this strategy because they kind of like to balance a little bit like the portfolio. So we built a little proof of concept pilot with like not only kind of like the back end but like the front end as well. And we were using actually the development kit for, and it's doing actually pretty good job on that in that space. So interesting, but there's something
That's
else
pretty
coming up.
cool. So the next one is Google Jules. So Google Jules is a coding assistant. It can read your code, write test scripts, fix bugs, update dependencies, etc., etc. It can work asynchronously in the cloud, and you can integrate with GitHub. So you can just put it into your GitHub repository and say, for example, write test scripts or um, create this new feature or something, sort of like what we had with Cursor or other tools, but
Yeah.
now from Google.
There is a new agent model as well that Copilot has released.
Yeah,
That this
there
is
are
become
other agents. I'm just talking about Google, but
yeah.
there are
Yeah.
other coding agents that have come out.
I tried to
Um,
make it dynamic.
I'm trying to talk about Google so we can talk about Google AI. So
Yeah.
the next one is the AI mode search. So the AI mode transforms Google search into a conversation assistant, and it provides in-depth responses, synthesizes informations from multiple sources, and can perform complex tasks like booking tickets. So now, instead of just doing the normal Google search, there is a AI mode in Google search. It's not that when you did the Google search, you had like a Google AI summary on top. It's not that. You have to change to AI mode search, and is a full AI search. So it's a little bit different now.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask whether that's like that AI lab that they had at actually at the top.
Another really, really cool one that I saw and I really loved is the real-time speech translation in Google Meet. So in Google Meet, I can be speaking to you in English. It will be translating to you in French. You hear it in French on your side, you reply in French, and I'll hear it in English. It translates as you speaking, so it's a live translation and uses your voice. So that's pretty cool.
Wow. That is. I had looked into it. Like, um. Oh, I definitely want to use that because I'm attending some meetings with people that where the meetings actually are not held in English. And I looked into, I think a while ago, looked into some solutions from, I think it was Twilo
Hmm.
that had done some experimentations doing that kind of stuff using some of the like the OpenAI models. But the problem with that, it was a lag in the between the like the input and then the translation on the other end. So it was kind of like they did a simulation. I think there's a GitHub page, and it was essentially kind of like you, for example, like it was an officer, like say an immigration officer talking to someone that actually didn't speak actually the language, and there was always kind of like that delay in the conversation. It was like, well, that is okay for that kind of situation because it's not like urgent, but actually having a live meeting with someone on the other end like this is like, this would be so
It's
poor.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there is already a functionality that you can see the subtitles translated to your language in Google. I don't know if you
Yeah.
have used that,
Yeah.
but now is the voice using your voice in live translation. So that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
this is good. This is great. Yeah, I'll definitely. Is that one actually kind of activated yet?
I think it is. Have a try in your plan. So the last one for us to close up, and I know we need to wrap it up, is the virtual try-ons. So the Google virtual try-on is a feature that let you upload a photo of yourself to see how clothes would look like on you. It integrates with Google AI search AI mode and aims to enhance online shopping experiences. So I can upload a photo of myself and I say, oh yeah, I'm looking at these clothes in the site here and they look pretty cool. How would they look like on me? So it will just convert my clothes into those clothes. So you can
Yeah.
sort of try on different clothes and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can see a lot for a lot of shops, online shops being, you know how sometimes people don't like to buy clothes online because you can't try it on. So that's a next step. I know it's not perfect, but at least for you to have an idea of how that would look like on you.
I suppose people already trust the brand and they already know like how that fits with them. So actually they then cannot trust the body. They just want to see how it looks on them. I think that brings that trust aspect, I suppose.
Cool. I do need to go. Thank you very much, Will. Thank you very much, everyone that is listening or watching us, because now we've got video. How cool is that?
Yeah, we
And
need to put some of the baby stuff into it.
yes, and if you do want to interact with us, please, please, please put something on the comments. What do you want us to talk about? Have you seen all the Google I/O stuff? What do you think about it? From the stuff that we covered, what did you like? And let us know.
Awesome. Okie dokie. See you guys there.